It does not matter that it is early in the offseason. Gen Company are making money moves. We talk about the two big moves that the Cubs made today on the Setup Man coming up right now. Welcome in. Oh my God, that really did sound sickly. I am Alex. I don't know if you remember me. It's been about a month, but I'm Alex along with Ty Lewin. This is the Setup Man podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, comment, like this video, and if you're listening on audio, please do us a favor, follow us there, and leave a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcast in order to help us get the word out to more Cubs fans. On today's agenda, we celebrate some Golden Boys. There was a Cubs trade today, one of our personal favorites, Ty and I. In fact, we have to retire a sound on the soundboard today. And finally, the big news of Shota Imanaga opting out of his deal. Before we get into any of that, Tyler, how the heck are you, buddy? It's been a minute.
Buddy, it's so good to see you. You've been gone a month. In the words of NHL, you're on LTIR, long-term injured reserve. You're still currently battling this injury and pushing through for an off-season episode. So to everyone in the comments, make sure we congratulate Alex on being here today and not getting his get out of school sick card, as he probably did back in the days of elementary school.
Well, I used that for the Kyle Tucker episode I was supposed to be on, and then it just didn't happen. And apologies in advance. You could probably hear it in my voice. If my voice craps out today, I apologize, Setup Nation. But we're here. This is my Jordan flu game. I'm ready.
You've actually had a few of these.
Yeah, it's been between the migraines and stay healthy, kids. Take your vitamins. Listen to your mom and dad. Soup for the soul and for your throat. Great bit of advice I have for you.
Coffee, too. Coffee's great for you.
Is it really?
Go ahead.
All right. Actually, before we get on to today's news, I just wanted one quick thing on the Kyle Tucker thing because I was shouting it at my radio listening to you guys driving around for work. Kyle Tucker, to me, yes, I'd love him back. But my thought was he's kind of like the really nice sports car. Like when you have it, it's awesome. When it's clicking and it's working, it's awesome. But those cars are real finicky. And if one thing goes wrong and it breaks down, you cannot rely on that car. It's in the shop. It's just no good. Meanwhile, you have guys like Dansby, Nico. They're a little more like Fords or a Jeep. You can beat on them a little bit, and you know what you're getting day in, day out. Is it going to blow you away? No, but it gets you to point A to B. So just my quick Kyle Tucker thoughts. I'm sure we'll do more episodes on that. But I was shouting it at my radio, and I was dying for a microphone to share that stupid thought I had.
Well, your Ford and your GMs, specifically our second baseman, did a pretty good thing. Had a pretty cool acknowledgement that happened for him. Do you want to discuss that?
There's been so much news that even Kyle's episode yesterday, he didn't even touch on this. But the Cubs, 3 Gold Glove winners this year. Applause to them. Nico Hoerner gets his 2nd career Gold Glove. Ian Happ, his 4th in a row. The only 2 Cubs to do that outside of Ian Happ, Ron Santo and Ryan Sandberg. Pretty damn good company. And then obviously, if there was any doubt at all, Pete Crow Armstrong is your National League Gold Glove winner. And all 3 of them are up for the National League Platinum Glove Award that will be announced this Friday. If you want to vote and don't know how to vote, I will link the website, the voting place, wherever. I'll put that in the description below for you to vote. You get 1 vote a day with 1 email. So make up a few emails. We got to get this hashtag Platinum Pete thing off the ground. He deserves it. So, yeah, really cool to see 3 out of, what do they have, 6 nominees? It was really, really cool and really satisfying after this season when they based their whole team on defense and right field didn't have a nominee, shortstop didn't have a nominee, and first base didn't have a nominee. And I would argue that first base should have had a nominee. It was really cool to see all their guys at least get acknowledgement, including Matt Shaw, who had a heck of a season, was a finalist. The way ESPN was doing it, I don't know what the final voting results were, but they kind of hinted that Matt Shaw finished 2nd, which is kind of crazy. And it just really, especially for a guy who were like, oh boy, I don't know if he can play defense, was just outstanding. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
across the board. I mean,
yeah.
really, you said it best. It was outstanding. It was fun to watch. It was reassuring. I think about it from the starting pitching aspect, or just pitchers in general. Right? You have more confidence in making a pitch because you know your defense behind you is going to make that play. Cheesy, but that's how baseball works, folks. And it was really nice to see for guys that obviously with Dansby when he initially came in a few years ago, which the Dansby defender sits over to my left side here on the screen, but really it kind of started from there. I know Hap was here prior, and had really done a great job, obviously in left field from a defensive standpoint. But once Dansby came in, Dansby and Nico kind of linked up together, and that started really a better foundation along with Hap. And then all of a sudden you start bringing PCA into the fold, Michael Bush, Matt Shaw, and good catchers behind the dish, and a solid right fielder as well. Whether that was Seiya this year, who was outstanding in times when we didn't think he would be, when he was replacing Tucker, and then of course Tucker was a solid right fielder. So overall, it's nice to see that the Cubs do look at their, I would say, identity and say that pitching and defense we're going to do a hell of a job at, and hopefully they get some bats with some of this money that's been cleared up a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that first guy. So Andrew Kittredge, I'm sorry to see you go, but the Cubs today traded relief pitcher Andrew Kittredge back to the Baltimore Orioles for cash considerations, which means Ty and I are very sad. We have to empty the Andrew Kittredge folder here on the show. So, one last time, and it officially is deleted
I
off.
think that was more for you, but go ahead.
Could have been. Andrew Kittredge had a $9 million club option or a $1 million buyout, and the option, according to Jesse Rogers, Baltimore will presumably pick up. But another reliever, another pitcher, another deal, really, that the Cubs no longer have to deal with. So even if, let's say, $9 million off the books, because that's what it would have been if they picked him up. So that's $9 million that the Cubs allegedly have freed up. But that being said, older reliever, Ty, I wasn't all that upset that he's no longer on the team.
No, I mean, if you look at what their bullpen was for majority of the year, it was most guys under $3 million contracts besides a guy like Ryan Presley, right? The only thing that I'm, concerned about, of course, is just where it is right now. And again, folks, I say this with the idea of what I said last show, where you talk about, Tread Athletics and Tyler Zombro and what his effect has been on this organization from a pitching standpoint. And we saw so many additions that happened throughout the year. So my question with all of this, Alex, is the organization going to make decisions up to the start of the season that will be what the bullpen will be for the entirety of the season? Or are they going to go more with their, I would call it plan or strategy over the last couple of years, which is finding additions throughout the year? Now, it obviously hasn't been a bad thing because they've added such incredible additions. Drew Pomeranz, I mean, come on. I mean, those types of moves don't happen for some organizations right now. They just don't find these diamonds in the rough like the Cubs are doing. So the question is that are they going to make these additions before the beginning of the season? I think so. I would be shocked if they didn't, right? I don't see them bringing a Brad Keller, Caleb Thielbar, or Drew Pomeranz back because their value just got, skyrocketed a little bit. So hopefully they come back on lesser deals, below that 3 million mark on probably all of them, but that's probably not going to happen. So the question is that what are they going to find up to the beginning of the start of the regular season that's going to be their foundation for their bullpen? And then what else are they going to find throughout the year? Because it seems like that's a general trend for this organization. So I wish Kitty the best of luck. He was a great addition at the end there. He did a great job for us. But at the end of the day, $9 million for a reliever just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And the Cubs, made a solid move here. And I'm excited to talk about what that money looks like with another move they made.
Yeah, and just quick thoughts on the bullpen. I know Kyle did an episode yesterday. It's only a 20-minute podcast episode or 20 minutes on YouTube. If you have a second, watch it. He lays out the case, and a really good case, for why the Cubs should go after one of these high-profile relievers that have just entered the market. Edwin Diaz, Robert Suarez of San Diego. there is an argument you can make that we're not going to make on this show today because we got a whole off season of content we need to fill. But this organization has proven over the last, really the entire Jed era, they don't have to spend, above $10 million for a reliever unless it's a reclamation project like they did with Presley. It didn't work out. But guess what? Ultimately, didn't matter because they had guys like Keller who didn't cost anything. Pomerantz didn't cost anything. Palencia, who has proven at times he can be a solid closer.
Caleb Thielbar was another one as well.
Perfect example. So, name any of their high leverage guys. They pick those guys up off the street, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're pitching in October. So, yeah, $9 million. I'm not that upset for that price tag. He was going to command more. Even Brad Keller, I don't know if he's coming back. He posted on Instagram, thank you to Chicago. That really seemed like he knows something. Maybe he's back. But remember a couple years ago, Robert Stevenson of the Angels got like 3 years, $45 million. And this is the funny thing, half of y'all don't even know the name I just said. But he was an Angel reliever, got hurt immediately, but that was 3 for 45. If you're going to spend that on a reliever, I'd rather be someone with more of a track record than Keller or Kittredge or Pomerantz. So, yeah, ultimately, I'm not upset about that.
I was just going to say it's so funny right now because the bullpen is
it's in shambles.
I mean, like literally, like this is going to be a completely different episode come February. But right now, the only players really with MLB experience from a, I would say, quote unquote, higher leverage standpoint is Porter Hodge and Daniel Palencia. If you want to throw Ben Brown in there, you could. We'll see that's going to be a very interesting project coming up this season, but we'll probably save that name for another episode or just talking about what the bullpen could look like. But yes, I wish the best of luck to Kitty, and I might have to wish the best of luck to somebody else.
Yeah, let's get to it. So our main story of the day.
It's the soup of the day.
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Well, you know what Shota Imanaga will have? Free agency. Today, both sides announced that the Cubs are declining their 3-year option on Shota Imanaga, which then he declined his 1-year player option, one of the more confusing contracts in Cubs history. Yeah. So you guys did a good job covering it, but if you didn't know, the Cubs could have extended him for 3 more years. They chose to decline that option, but Shota Imanaga had the option for 1 year's $15 million. He declined that. So now he is set to become a free agent. The Cubs have until 2 p.m. on Thursday, this Thursday, to offer all free agents, their free agents, like Imanaga, a qualifying offer. This year's qualifying offer is 1 year worth $22 million. If he signs elsewhere, the Cubs get a pick. So if you don't know what the qualifying offer is, the best comparison I can make is it's kind of like the franchise tag in the NFL. It's an offer. Granted, it's an offer in baseball, whereas the franchise tag, you just get that, but then you get a set salary that's league-wide. So in this case, this year, 1 year, $22 million. Shota has the option to take that if he wants. However, David Kaplan on his Recap YouTube show today, he just did a little short. He's hearing that Imanaga will decline any qualifying offer he will receive. So if that is the case, then the Cubs will get compensation and draft pick. Why is that important? Well, if they're getting a compensation pick for Imanaga, this is an organization that really doesn't like to sign players with that attached qualifying offer because they don't want to give up a pick. But now, maybe those offset. Who knows? Maybe that does affect something down the road. But, Ty, just very quickly. Oh, actually, before I forget, Imanaga will have till November 18th to accept or decline the qualifying offer. Important piece of information there. Ty, your initial reaction to when this news broke early this morning?
My first initial reaction was I was a little surprised by him not accepting the player option. But then when I thought about it, more and more as the day went on, I thought, well, first off is that 22 million is more than 15 million. So if he really wants to have more money in the bank, then obviously he probably thought in his head, well, either I'm going to get 22 million offered to me from the Cubs, or I'm probably going to get more money guaranteed in a contract in free agency, more than my $15 million player option. And I would say he's proven enough over the last 2 years to show that he could be a solid MLB starting pitcher, for another organization. So again, as the day went on, I was less and less surprised by the decision. And ultimately, for a guy that the Cubs, you could just tell right away when they're declining a club option that's going to be $57 million over the next 3 years for, like I said, a solid starting pitcher to have in your rotation. You could tell where the organization sees Shota going here in the future. And I think you had some little bit of maybe some stats or numbers that showed why that might be, why his decline might be coming.
Yeah, so in 2025, this is per one of my favorite Cubs accounts. I encourage you to follow the Wrigley Wire on X. He said, and I quote, Imanaga's fastball velocity from last year to this year dipped 0.7 miles an hour, so almost a full mile per hour off his fastball. His K rate dropped nearly 5% when that was kind of his bread and butter coming over from Japan. And his splitter whiff rate, let's try saying that in English, splitter whiff rate fell 11% from 2024. In his last 12 appearances, he gave up 20 homers. And in the playoffs, it was very obvious the Cubs did not trust him, especially in a winner-go-home Game 5 against your rival, the Milwaukee Brewers. He didn't see the field. And let's be honest, as Cubs fans, we love him, but we were kind of relieved we didn't see him in Game 5. His playoff statistics, this is in total, 6 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, so a run an inning for you math nerds out there, 3 homers, 2 walks, only 6 Ks. And I'm sorry, that just doesn't play in the postseason. We saw what the Dodgers and Blue Jays had. Those guys coming out of the bullpen were electric. And even the starters, now granted, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I mean, Yamamoto was unbelievable. Savage for the Blue Jays was unbelievable. But where I'm with, good Lord, I can't talk today. It's cold, folks. Where I'm at with all of this, I think they have enough similarity of what Imanaga does. I think Boyd profiles similarly to Imanaga. Steele coming back. His velocity is not going to be 95 like it was, especially this year. He's got to build back up to that. I just think they need a different flavor in that rotation. Someone like Dylan Cease, who I'm sure we'll do an episode about shortly. Michael King is another name they've been linked to already. I just think there's guys that, if you're going to pay that money anyway, will be more beneficial to your rotation. Now, again, Shota's one of my favorite Cubs. He might only be here 2 years, which is kind of crazy to say. And he's a number 5 starter, unfortunately. Now, you can make the argument he pitched 2 seasons in the big leagues and a season and a half. He was pretty damn good. But the last quarter was, ugh. If you can't trust him in a playoff game when he was your best starter up until what? Before his injury? But even after his injury, he was fine for a little bit. I have a tough time seeing them bringing him back. And I want to even ask you, do we even offer him the qualifying offer? Do you want to take that risk of him taking $22 million away when we know this organization, we all know, they are very budget conscious. And do we really want to give 22? I got you with that. Yes, folks, anytime there's a Cubs cliche, I'm playing an old cliche sounder. I don't care. Pushing the front office, hopefully. But do you want to risk giving 1 year $22 million to Shota Imanaga?
No.
Based on what we've seen? Yeah, I don't either.
No. I'm going to take it from this angle. Okay. So I am looking at that 2027 looming lockout as a serious topic that's going on in those conference rooms or on those Microsoft Teams calls between Jed Hoyer and the Ricketts family. Right now, currently, okay, all contracts above, let's see here. So all contracts above $7.5 million, except Dansby Swanson's deal and Matthew Boyd's, okay, are all set to expire after next season. Okay. So not only are you getting a lot of money off the books before this lockout that could occur, right? So that's number one. That could also alter the decisions that are made for 2027 and beyond. So I do wonder if maybe there wasn't a lockout that might have maybe had them keep Shota and probably would be more of the side of them offering the qualifying offer. So that's why I don't think it'll happen. I think that they're trying to get as much money off the books as they can and really build from the players that they have within this organization. I truly believe it. I think that they're going to use a lot of this money towards extensions. I think they want to get a lot of their players locked out. So I think that's more the route they're going to go. And now also too, while now not having that qualifying offer attached and probably declining the mutual option with Justin Turner, which is only $2 million. Then you got to do a buyout. They'll probably keep Colin Ray. So really they're around that $75 to $80 million available to use before they get to the first threshold of $244 million. So
we know they won't go right up to that number.
No,
so let's
but
even 10 million off of that, let's say.
I ought to be honest with you. I know I'm the first one to say that they should spend and spend and spend, but they are finding ways to get a lot of value out of some of these players at lesser deals, right? I mean, it really is. I mean, if you look at some of the contracts that they have currently comparatively to what some other teams have in the other, in other parts of the league, like realistically, I don't really see a bad contract currently on their roster. I mean, can I say that Dansby might be slightly, but he's elite defensively, and in comparison to the other shortstops in that draft, in that other class, really, you don't really have a bad contract. Shota was your bad contract. Which is crazy to say. So I look at it. So if I'm looking at it from the business angle, right, I'm saying there's no way in hell I'm giving him a QO because I want all the money available to try and go in all this year, right, and try to find a way to maybe give out these, contracts and other things. Now, it will be interesting, though, because and I wrote down this question last night that I thought would be a good conversation for us to have. With the lockout looming, Alex, do you foresee teams wanting to do like Alex Bregman like deals where they give these players player opt-outs with this lockout looming, right? So after this year or after next season, or do you foresee teams going longer deals, lesser money? So maybe in case they don't grandfather contracts in, they actually look ahead and say, I'm going to give out a 6-7 year deal. We're going to lesser the AAV over the number of years so we can put ourselves in a better position down the road. Like, what do you foresee happening? I mean, it's a very difficult topic to discuss because there are just so many unknown parameters at this point. But I was just curious where you see organizations going.
So can I do a Babe Ruth and call my shot right now?
Yeah, please do.
I'm calling the shot, even with my prop bet.
You're hosting the show, so go ahead.
Sure. I really do believe that the Ricketts family are just the kings and queens of making excuses. And I'm sure it'll be a Cubs issue, but I think this is a baseball issue too. I think a lot of teams are going to hide behind, well, there's a lockout coming. We don't want to tie it. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the teams that necessarily don't care about that kind of stuff, Kyle Tucker might get 8 to 10 years. Alex Bregman might get 6 years, what he was looking for last year. Dylan Cease might get 6 years. I hope it's from the Cubs because really, even if they salary cap, I don't think it's happening, but if they do a salary cap, you just laid it out. They don't have any contracts on the books outside of Dansby past 26. You have to spend that money somewhere. So I do think for this specific offseason, I think it's going to be a long one. I think the Cubs will do what they do in the bullpen. It'll be, oh, hey, that guy, reclamation project. I know Kyle mentioned Raisel Iglesias, Braves closer, who struggled this year, but ultimately has had a really good career. That's a guy I could see them taking a flyer on. Kenley Jansen, 1 year for, let's call it $10 million. That's a little high maybe, but 1 year deal. I think we're going to see a lot of those. I do, however, think they have to do at least one multi-year deal. But if they don't, again, Babe Ruth calling my shot, they're going to hide behind the fact that there's going to be a lockout. Well, we don't know the rules. Well, we don't know this. We don't know that. But the reality of the situation is nobody knows. You had a really good year. Build off of that. Don't get scared because of a lockout because who knows what the rules are going to look like. And if you get grandfathered in, great. Then that only costs you money. You don't have to worry about a penalty. You don't have to worry about luxury tax and all that BS. I know you and Kyle on the last episode talking about biggest fear. My biggest fear is that this was a really good team, 92 wins. Their Ferrari is leaving in free agency. I think we can all say that. Kyle Tucker's probably leaving. I just don't know how they get better without going to Cease, Suarez, Valdez, any of these big name pitchers. Offensively, I kind of like the idea of Ballesteros. I don't know about Casey. I'm a little more lukewarm on Casey, but Ballesteros is a DH. Okay, he brings you a little more bat to ball. I like that. The Cubs need that. But then where are they getting their slug? There's just a lot of questions, and I think they're going to be like, well, lockout's coming. We got to be careful.
Yeah, that's where my head is at. Is I think that they're going to be ultra careful and ultra conservative with their financials. I just do. And if I'm in their seats, I'm not looking at the last couple of years and saying we should have done this or should have done that. It's over with. They're not going to spend. They haven't spent post the Hayward contract or the Swanson contract. They haven't spent that big time money. So I don't foresee them getting any of these big names on the starting pitching front, just because as a fan, I do want to see them do that. But from the business perspective, I don't see a reasoning for doing so. And I think that they're going to get a lot of depth pieces, and they're going to do a lot of the non-spring training invites. So ultimately, like with Shota, the big thing that we look at was the home run ball, right? 31 home runs given up on the year. What was it? It was 17 at home. And we talked about it in the last show, there's no reason to have a good defense when the balls ends up in the bleachers, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested, and we're going to probably talk about this on a lot of the next coming shows with targets and who might be of a good addition to the rotation as a fan that I would love to see. Really at home, besides Shota and Colin Ray at 14, everybody else had below 10 when it came to home runs given up. So I'm hopeful that they can find somebody that we do see the ball put in play more, and we do see them utilizing their assets that they have behind the pitcher and behind the mound at Gold Glove second baseman, Gold Glove shortstop, Gold Glove left fielder, Gold Glove center fielder, like all these positions, like start to emphasize that direction as an organization to find more of those pitchers. I think the last couple of things on Shota is interesting, right? Because I know he's going to get a good contract, and if he does ultimately go to free agency, and if the Cubs do extend a qualifying offer or whatever, and he declines it, really, he had a great. Look at that. Let's see here. So he had a great August with a 2.65 ERA, and then September really fell off. And even like the post injury, he was doing fine. So it sucks to see. I wanted to end it on this because it sucks to see a guy who was such a fan favorite and so loved. And again, all signs point to him probably not coming back. So it feels short lived for Shota and what he did for this organization. But when the business side comes into play, folks, if you're whether you've been a Cub fan for many, many years or are just starting getting into baseball and trying to understand how this whole thing works, just know the business side is real, and it's real in all sports, but particularly in baseball, it's definitely a thing. And I just hope that the Cubs use their resources appropriately, do use the money that they have available up to that first threshold, whatever it is, $75-80 million to really build out a fantastic ball club. But again, they're going to have to keep that lockout in mind, and they're going to have to keep what those parameters look like. And that really sucks to say. And I'm going to probably say this a multitude of times over the offseason. It's just these things have to be understood before fans freak out about, well, they didn't bring this guy back or they didn't sign this guy. Well, again, they're probably thinking about these things, and this is just the status quo of this organization these days. So to that, I wish Shota the best of luck, and I just hope that God he's not in the NL Central. Or if he is, just please keep elevating those home run numbers, and we'll definitely use that to our advantage. Go ahead.
You're going to hate this, but you know where I saw a link already on Shota Imanaga? Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I think it was Hector Gomez.
Wow.
He's like, Shota, Dodgers. Maybe. Makes sense.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Milwaukee.
Oh, hell no. If that happens,
oh my God.
I don't, honestly, this is me being a fanalist. I think he respects the Cubs and the city of Chicago enough to he knows what that rivalry is about. I don't know that he would do that. Now, if they back up the truck, maybe. But I say like anyone in the division, I can't see. A, he doesn't fit Cincinnati's ballpark. B, St. Louis, no one knows what they're doing. I don't think that's a thing. But I did see the Dodger thing. The Giants, I would say, makes some sense just because that's a big ballpark. Yeah, it sucks. I've said multiple times in this show in the last couple of months, he's one of my favorite Cubs of the last decade. And to see it end like this, especially after 3/4 of his time here being brilliant, is just kind of like, this is how it ends. Now, I will be okay with it if and only if they reallocate that money. If they sit on that and then just whatever, pocket it for themselves, I guess. I don't understand how you can look at that Padres series, the home games, and the Brewers home games in the DS, how the Ricketts can say, oh, you know what? This is fun. We'll just keep some money. We'll just cut payroll again. Because let's face it, at this point, Kyle Tucker, yeah, that was creative. And I'd do it again. It was a pay cut because he made less than Bellinger. So if they do that again now with Imanaga and just, we're cutting, let's call it $22 million off the books with the qualifying offer. If they don't reallocate that money to a Dylan Cease or a bat like Schwarber, although Schwarber's probably going to cost like $30 million a year, but regardless, it's just you have the space, go do it, and they might not, and we're going to see. And rumors are going to heat up here, so who knows?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just about to say one last thing is just, right now the rotation is Matthew Boyd, Justin Steele whenever he's ready, J-Mo, Horton, and then a lot of question marks, right? Is Jackson Wiggins going to be the guy? Is he going to be the Cade Horton of last season coming up this year? Is Javier Assad going to be able to give you some innings as well? You're probably going to pick up that $6 million club option on Colin Ray. And then we talked about his name earlier is Ben Brown. What's his reclamation project look like? So a lot of decisions to be made right now. I would like to see some more depth added to that. And hopefully that money you talked about is reallocated to the rotation in some way.
I mean, they have to get depth. Even with Shota, they need depth. Colin Ray was awesome this year. And by the way, I'm going to make a ruling here. I'm going to just report that they're picking up that option. $6 million for how great and valuable he was. I'm going to report they're picking that up. I just locked that in. I'd be stunned if they didn't. But, I mean, yeah, you mentioned it. Are you going to rely on Assad? He got hurt. They kind of low-key had the season from hell with the rotation and the injuries. So, if that doesn't teach you need depth, just quality depth. Chris Flexen was really valuable for them for the time he was here, and then he was cut. But he was really valuable. He ate up a lot of innings. They know they need
extra innings. Yeah, he was.
I don't mind saying it. I'll make a ruling on that too. Greatest extra innings pitcher in baseball history. I don't know what the numbers say, but that's how it felt. But no, they need depth. They know they need depth. So we'll see. If they allocate the money, great. If they don't, I will be busting out the breaking even shirt from our friends at Obvious Shirts. All right, before we go, make sure, like and subscribe on YouTube. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts and feelings about the Shota Imanaga opt-out. The kitty experience. Favorite part was him closing out the NL wildcard series against San Diego, which is just crazy how that ended up. The fact that he was closing, crazy. So let us know in the comments below. Before we get out of here, just a fun little thing. If you are a gamer, you will appreciate this. But MLB The Show 25, great game, by the way. I think, just a quick side note, baseball this year crushed it. The World Series, awesome. The playoffs, awesome. I do think MLB The Show, the video game this year was really good and really just, I think for younger people too, it enhances the enthusiasm for the sport. So, which makes this all the worse that they could go into a lockout next year when they have all this momentum. But every year they have a mode where you build your own team and they release cards and you use those cards on your team, whatever. So MLB The Show is releasing their finest cards, which is essentially each team's MVP. So the Cubs was revealed today. Ty, who do you think MLB The Show thought the Cubs MVP of the season was? There are a lot of options here. They could go pitcher with Cade. They could go reliever. They typically don't with the video game. They want someone that you're going to use a lot and have fun, whatever. So do they go position player? Is it Michael Busch? Is it Matt Shaw? Is it Carson Kelly? Ty, who do you think MLB The Show and the fine people at San Diego Studios said was the Cubs MVP?
I'm going to just say it, even though he's not the team MVP, he did have MVP considerations throughout the year. Was it PCA?
It was indeed. That is who San Diego Studios, and this all, if you're a gamer and play
Called
MLB The Show, and let's face it, it's a video game. He would be the most fun video game character to play with.
100%. That's why I said it. I went, well, I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, Matthew Boyd was outstanding. Cade Horton, obviously.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker. I mean, you could throw his name out there if you want to. Not saying he deserved it. I'm just saying is that, you look at players that had certainly good seasons. But yeah, PCA just feels like from a gaming standpoint would just be ultimately the best player to play with. It's like Michael Vick back with Madden in like
Bingo.
06 or something. What was Michael Vick?
Really, anytime Michael Vick was in the game, you knew exactly.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, like the anytime he was in those video games and stuff. But no, that's cool. Good for Pete, man. That's sick.
I was a little surprised because, well, and the other thing too is they release these cards throughout the year. So if PCA already has a couple cards that you can use, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm getting into the minutia of video games, but ultimately, I think that's the right pick, especially for a video game. And honestly, I don't know that he was the MVP of the Cubs, like you said, but for the majority of the year, he was the Cubs star. So it makes sense.
Yep.
And with that said, that's going to do it for us. On your way out the door, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Audio only, do us a favor. Like, subscribe there. Leave us 5-star review on wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for joining Ty and I this evening, or when you listen to it tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday. I should probably give an update to the people, shouldn't I? So the plan for Ty and I is we will be recording Tuesdays and Thursdays. And obviously, if there's breaking news, now, we're not going to do an emergency podcast for a John Birdie type signing because, let's face it, nobody cares about that. But say they get a Cease or they re-sign Tucker or a Schwarber, or if they do something of significant impact, Ty and I, maybe even the Podfather, will join us for a live emergency episode. But we'll be back.
One last thing, make sure to, for anybody, we're going to have our bullpen. If you are wanting to comment and list your thoughts, we will have our call to the bullpen every single episode. So please make sure your comments are heard below this video, and make sure you give a great explanation or a funny joke or whatever way to catch our eye to post your comment here on the next show. So we're going to continue that trend here over the course of the off season. So please make sure you comment below with your thoughts on whatever we discussed in that episode or what else you want to throw out there, and we'll see who we want to select.
Beautifully said. And with that, we are out of here. Thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe. Hit that 5-star review button on Apple, Spotify, wherever. Tyno will be back Thursday, and we have a fun game planned, assuming there is no other news that comes up. So until then, we'll see you later, Setup Nation.